Hello and welcome to the Lewiston Second Word Podcast. My name is Debbie Presnell and I'm here with the truly amazing Ketch Johnson who's recorded today's podcast. The goal of this podcast is to get to know each other better and to create unity in our ward by sharing life and gospel experiences with each other. We're excited to bring you the really cool people in our ward, and this week we welcome into our podcast two of the very coolest. We have with us today Brie and Travis Bartschi. Welcome, Bartschi.
Thank you.
Bartschis are in the house.
I wish our kids thought we were cool.
Maybe by the end of this they
Yeah,
will.
maybe so.
So I think we'll just dive right into this and start out with asking you to share a little bit about your growing up years, what stood out, where you grew up, how you guys met each other. So you guys grew up, weren't you both in Idaho Falls?
Yeah, do you want to start?
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, we both grew up in Idaho Falls. My mom had gotten divorced from my biological dad when I was about 6 months old, and then she remarried to Lauren Peterson, who then adopted me and became the only dad I ever knew, and he was amazing. So I was
You really do love him, don't
I
you?
do. I was very, very grateful for the childhood I had and the parents I had. But yeah, all my growing up years were in Idaho Falls, and I was surrounded by lots of grandparents and cousins and aunts and uncles, and it was really pretty special. It was a special growing up, and I really appreciated it.
Sounds like a dream life.
Yeah, yeah.
What everybody would want. How about you, Travis? Who birthed you?
I was born, I'm the middle of 7 kids. My mom and dad had 6 boys, and they were about to give up, I think, and made an ultimatum with God that they probably should get a girl on the next try, and so they did. My little sister was born, but I'm the 4th of those 7 boys, and grew up just outside of Idaho Falls, kind of out in the country, and that was like a dream growing up too. We had Idaho Falls has kind of a lot of members of the LDS Church in it, and so we there were 3 families on our street, on the mile long that street that I lived on, that had 7 kids. And so we had neighborhood kids, but we also had the benefits of being able to shoot BB guns outside and anyway, go out and play in the fields and play baseball. And anyway, it was a fun place to grow up. And I, looking back, I had it as probably as well as anyone could. Parents that loved me and siblings who, we fought quite a bit as brothers, but I would say there was mostly love in our home.
Mhm. So one of the things, Travis, I've always loved about you is your sense of humor. Who'd you get that from? Does that come from mom, dad, or brothers, or it's just unique to you?
Oh, I don't know. You know, my parents, everyone likes to laugh quite a bit, and I see it when my parents get together with their families and siblings. Probably a little more on my dad's side than my mom's side, but a lot of laughing, and it probably comes from
Here's one of my
all
favorite.
the funny things.
You want to
that
hear
happen.
one of my
Tell
favorite
us
stories?
one of
of
your
Travis?
favorites, yeah.
Well, they just tell this story now. I didn't know him then, but when he was like in 3rd grade, his parents noticed him getting out the phone book and looking something up, and then like dialing and calling, and they just hear the other side of the phone, and they're like, and they hear Travis say, "Hey, Roy, this is Travis. I just wondered what there is for what we're having for lunch tomorrow." Well, Roy was the principal of the school, and Travis wanted to know what was lunch the next day, if he should pack a lunch or he could eat it there. And so he thought, who better to know than the principal?
Go right to the top.
So he ran right to the source and called the principal.
That's kind of in your life, hasn't
I
it,
know.
Travis?
I did. I kind of have memories of that phone call. Even that's funny. I remember I went to my picture book that had like one of my report cards in it or something, and his name was on the front.
Oh,
I found his name.
That's how you found the name.
Looked him up in the phone book and asked him what was for lunch. But yeah, my parents laugh about that. They said,
Would he
"Hi,
tell you?
hi,
Was he
Roy. This
like-
is Travis." And I think he did. You know,
Was he like, quit calling me about lunches? Or was...
he did not say that. I just remember being a pretty kind-hearted guy, and he probably told me what was for lunch. And anyway, I was a picky eater, so I didn't eat school lunch. I lived about a quarter mile from the school, and I would remember packing my own lunch. And sometimes too, for some reason, you could leave school. I would run home from school and eat lunch. So anyway, certain days were
important
better than
things
others.
for,
Yeah.
young boys to know.
Yeah.
So you guys, you said that you didn't know him in third grade. When did you guys meet?
No, we met actually our first, well, the unofficial meeting. There's kind of two.
Yeah, I got to tell this.
Okay, you can
The
tell.
unofficial meeting was that there was we came from different junior high schools, and hers was on the other side of town. And I knew some people there, and they invited us over for a get together. But I didn't know many people there. Most were from Brie school. And I was going down the stairs to go outside, and they had a glass door, and I almost ran into it. Like I barely saw my reflection before I realized that there was a door there. And I was like, whoa, that was close. Don't want to look dumb.
Yeah.
And then
Can't do that.
a few minutes later, I was going down those same stairs, and a girl ran from the outside in and just smacked right into that door. And later we figured out that was Brie.
Was that you?
It totally was. We were playing some kind of sardine game or something where we were running from people, so I was trying to get away, and that door was very clean.
Yeah.
I will just say I did not.
Somebody's mom was nervous
Yes.
that there was a party, and I'm sure cleaned it really well.
Yeah.
So they could spy in on you.
Yeah. And
Uh,
So Travis, was that like falling in love right away,
It
or did
wasn't.
you think, oh, I
No.
think I might be smarter than this girl?
No, it wasn't. I just felt and I think I said to her, I said, don't worry, I almost did that a couple minutes ago, but
Yeah.
still didn't know her at that time. And the summer before our 10th grade year, so these two junior highs came together and made one high school, and they had a get-to-know-you dance for the seminary that was held. And that's when I first officially met Brie and asked her to dance, and she was really nice to me. And I was really short guy and small, and she was a little shorter than I was, so that's kind of what I looked for in
Plus,
someone to dance. And
shorter
she was,
than you and nice to you.
She was
That's a
shorter and
great
nice. That's a
combination.
dangerous
it
combination.
doesn't take much.
Right.
And I remember him asking me to dance several times, and then the last time he's like, I know I've already asked you to dance a lot, so you can say no. And I said, no, because I really enjoyed talking to him. And this is funny, but I remember walking away that night. Like I can remember in the parking lot where I was thinking, that's the kind of person I want to marry someday. And I mean, it wasn't even like I was thinking I want to marry him, or it was just like we just like talked so well, and he was so easy and so nice and fun. And anyway, I just remember having that thought.
Dreams
I-
do come
I
true,
know,
don't they?
I know. Who would have
I
thought?
still
That's
can't-
when we were both 15.
So when did those two 15-year-olds figure out that maybe this might be something?
I liked her from the start, but we didn't or couldn't date till we were 16,
Right.
and so that was still a year or so away. But we just were good friends during that year, and then I think I asked her on enough dates that we decided to like each other for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
made it more official.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
Made
when,
it more official.
Travis, you went on a mission, right,
Uh-huh.
to where?
Yeah, so I'll just quick in between. I know that not everyone wants to hear all about our childhood, but we kind of dated for a while in high school, and then they built a different high school, and Brie went over to that one because of where she lived, and I stayed at that one, and so we quit dating during that time and just remained friends, though, and that's what I feel like is our relationship was always started with a friendship, and so that's been a good part of it.
That's a
And-
good
yeah.
start.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
both went to college. We were at Rick's College in Southeast Idaho, now BYU, Idaho, and we would see each other occasionally on campus and just
We had health class together.
That's right.
Yeah,
we
we
had a
did
class
have one
together,
class
and
together,
just
yeah.
maintain our friendship.
No wonder
Yeah.
it worked.
I know. And actually, I remember, I probably shouldn't say this, but they had the lights off one time, and we were at the back of the room, and we were shooting spitwads. Do you remember that? In college.
I'm
How
sure that
stupid is
wasn't
that?
me.
Travis, Bartschi,
We would, like-
spitting spit wads.
I think we were chewing little pieces of paper and spit them through a straw, like into our classmates. That was really immature for college age.
I thought Travis taught you how to do that. didn't
He probably did. I'm
That-
sure it was his idea.
I could have done that maybe. But yeah, and then I went on a mission, and Brie continued her schooling, and I didn't really think for sure that
Because we were
would
broken up at that
continue.
point. We were friends, but
Yeah.
and we wrote a little bit on his
So
mission.
you didn't wait for...
No,
No, that
We
was-
about a year before he left, we had broken up and dated other people, but stayed friends. And so
Yeah.
the same thing through his mission.
Yeah, we
too.
wrote occasionally, like every few months or something like that, just a, hey, how's it going letter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was back in the day in El Salvador. It would take about a month to 6 weeks to get a
Right.
letter and then to respond to it. So there was easily like 2 months in between this is what's happening to, responding. getting a response to what you said. So
You could have gotten married in the
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not even a couple for 2 months.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I said I didn't kind of hope that someday we'd get back together. I liked Brie as much as anyone I had, and she was a big part of who I was, because you're those formative years, or those teenage years, you kind of shape each other, and
For
so we had
sure.
spent a lot of time together, and I really comfortable with her. So anyway, I got home from my mission, and she was still in college, and it worked to start dating again.
Yeah, we dated for about 6 months and then got engaged and then got married the day I graduated from BYU.
I remember that,
Yeah.
Brie. I remember
Do
you
you?
telling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you saying
Yeah, so it was a busy weekend.
that. Yeah. Lots going on.
Yeah.
So then, after you got married, did you guys go to what? What did you do from there, education wise? Because I know you got your
Yeah.
degree in teaching.
Yes.
Education.
So I got mine in elementary education, and we tried to find teaching jobs, and at that time it was really saturated, so it was super hard to find a job. And even substitutes, you could substitute, but they didn't pay very good, like in Utah or Southeast Idaho. And then Travis we'd heard about LCSC. Well, you tell that part. That was kind of cool.
Oh no, that's kind of how we ended up in Lewiston. Is there was a recruiter from the college that came to one of our classes and just highlighted how good of a school LCSE could be for the pre-health fields that we were in, and so I said, well, let's maybe look at that, and so we did, and it was kind of neat because we found a place that I could go to college, and Brie could work in the classroom. It was a substitute, but it was full time, and the pay was good, and actually we got a couple of random scholarships. Rex Tolman, who was a longtime Lewiston Second Ward member.
Love him.
Yes, I
He's a great
got
guy.
this first, bless his heart, he gave a scholarship every year to someone, and we applied and got that. And so anyway, that and some other reasons just kind of drew us up here, and we spent 2 years here in Lewiston while I finished college, and then went off to dental school in Omaha, Nebraska. And we didn't think that we were coming back to Lewiston, but there was opportunity to work here, and praying and thinking about our future, we
Yeah.
both felt like it could be okay here, and
Well,
we've been here
we're
ever since.
We're so glad you guys moved up in Lewiston. It's just been great knowing you guys.
Yeah. We are
No,
too.
thank
We're
you.
really glad.
Yeah,
to
we
live
have
here.
loved it. It wasn't what in my mind I had planned. I wanted to be around. I wanted to be back in Idaho Falls, near all the family that I had grown up on. I wanted to raise my kids the way I was raised, around all that family. And so when I really prayed about it, I really wanted the answer to go to Idaho Falls, and that's not the answer we got. I felt really calm and peaceful about coming to Lewiston, and I was kind of mad about that feeling.
Not what you
I was like, that's
chosen
not
on
what
your
my
own,
plan
huh?
was. But man, I couldn't be more grateful. This has been a place where we've loved raising our kids, and the people that they've been surrounded by, have been wonderful, wonderful people. And we've been in this ward the entire time. In fact, we've moved 2 different times, but we
Stay
specifically,
in this ward.
yeah, that was one of our requirements, is
It's
we
just
really,
such a great ward. Isn't
it is.
Yeah.
We've really loved it.
And over the years, it's changed, and it's stayed great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just been really good.
It is interesting how much change there is, but it still feels like
Feels like home.
Lewiston Second
Yeah.
Ward, and feels
Mhm.
like home. And our friends up here became our family.
Mhm.
Our kids were raised around, families with other children that age, and it has been a good life for us here.
Mhm.
I
We've enjoyed
really
it.
feel like that's the secret to good family life, is having good friends that have children your age, and you're all like-minded. And
Yeah,
I just think that makes life so much better. So your professional life, you became a dentist,
Mm-hmm.
and that was in Omaha, Nebraska.
It was. Yep. We finished our dental training and came out here. We were in a practice, and then the owner doctor retired, and the practice split, and then we were on our own for a while. And then just kind of as the practice grew, we realized that we were going to outgrow our little spot. So a few years ago, we built a newer practice in Lewiston.
Every
And
time
we
I
fill
drive
it
by
up.
that, I think, wow.
I
He
know,
has
that's pretty
arrived.
fun. Oh, no.
No, no.
No, I'm just still floundering around, but there's more people to do it in front of now.
Yeah.
No, it's been a blessing. Work has been a blessing. I like my career. Choosing dentistry I didn't feel like, oh, I really, really like to work on teeth. That wasn't what made the choice. I kind of wanted to be in the health professions field, and
You should tell that story. He told his staff this story at the beginning of the year, like we do like a, what's the word?
Kickoff.
Kickoff,
Yeah.
yes, like a kickoff of the year at work. And he told this kind of cool story about how he went into dentistry. He had told a few of his staff members, and they're like, you need to tell everyone. It's a little bit religious, so he had kind of hesitated, but it's a neat story. You should tell
But
it.
you're a little bit religious.
I'm a
right?
little bit
Yeah.
religious. It's okay. No, I will share that. I worked in a hospital after my mission, and I felt kind of the weight of people's life in the balance, life and death, and some of the weight that maybe a physician's job would carry. And I didn't think that I wanted that. And so I was kind of considering other things and was thinking maybe dentistry. Again, not because you get to work on teeth, but it seemed like dentists generally like their jobs. They had some good family time, and
Right.
kind of owning their own business was a little bit attractive to me. But this is pretty interesting. So I worked as a CNA, and I had Fast Sunday off, the Fast Sunday coming up off, and I knew that I needed to be serious about choosing a profession. The time was getting to where I had to make that decision in classes and stuff, and so I set that day aside to fast and pray about it. And the phone rang at probably 5 in the morning that morning, and it was a hospital, and they were asking me to come in and work. And I was disappointed because that's a day that I wanted to use to think about what I was going to do for my future. But, work calls, so I went in, and I got to work at a little bit before 7, and my first job as a nurse's aide was to go down the hallway and take vital signs on every single person. And so I just grabbed my little blood pressure cuff and stethoscope and everything and headed down the hall. And about 3 or 4 doors in, I walked in, and most of these people were sick, and you were waking them up. You'd walk in and, knock on the door and turn on the light. But I walked into a room, and there was a gentleman. He was sitting straight up in bed. He was showered for the day. His hair was combed. And he was, I would call it middle age at this point, probably my age at this point. And he was sitting there reading his scriptures. And I introduced myself and said, hey, sorry, I need to, take your vital signs really quick and I'll get out of here. But he was really kind and just took an interest in me and started asking me questions about myself. And I told him that I was off my mission and back in school, and I wanted to, I was making these decisions on what, or he said, what was I studying? And I said, I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air right now between these jobs. And I said, I'm considering being a dentist. And he said, oh, I'm a dentist.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And that gentleman took time, and he answered some of my questions. He was a spiritual guy. He talked to me about being guided by the Spirit, and sorry. Looking back now, it's pretty amazing. I'm thankful for the God of heaven and earth that puts people in places to bless you. And I probably had a 10 or 15-minute talk with that guy, and he told me how much he loved his job. He liked it for the reasons that interested me. He talked about what it helps his family and things like that. So I walked out that door feeling pretty good about that choice. And the charge nurse walked up the hallway and said, oh, I was looking for you. We've discharged enough people that you can go home. So,
Wow.
so I was at work for 30 minutes, and
Long enough to have that confirmation. Yeah.
yeah, long enough
The
to have
thing I
that.
love about that story, Travis, and I'm so glad you shared it, is it just confirms to all of us that Heavenly Father is aware of us individually. That's one of those tender mercies that you can't deny. That's where that came from.
Yeah, there's some of those as you look back through life. I know that some of this podcast is we want to talk about a faith journey, but there's undeniable times when God has touched your life. And if you look for those and have them, you can't deny them. And if you do deny them, it's
It
can
alters
just
the
yeah,
journey,
it
doesn't
just
it?
changes your
Mhm.
perspective on life. So anyway, that was big. That was huge for me, and it's influenced my life since then. And I'm thankful for that guy. I wish I knew his name. I wish I could write him a thank you card. I wish all of those
Maybe
things.
he was one of the 3 Nephites.
we have joked about that.
Right?
He
You
heard
never
and
know.
climbed into bed.
Yep. Combed his
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah.
Got out the
Yeah.
scriptures, get ready for
Yeah.
translate.
Anyway, that was just a unique experience in life, and it was shaping in it, and it still affects my whole life to this day. And anyway, that was huge for me, and thank you, Brie, for remembering that story. But yeah, that was kind of it. And
That's great.
so that's one of the big things I think in a young man's life is to try and decide what to pursue. I mean, obviously there's a spiritual journey, but there's a journey through life that, you want to find something that helps provide for your family and allows your
To be with your family,
to
too.
be with your family. So,
So, Brie, when Travis was meeting with one of the 3 Nephites,
Just for the
What
record, there's
were you
enough
doing?
dentist in Idaho Falls
Yeah.
that it probably was an actual dentist from Idaho
that's right,
Falls.
that's right.
or maybe so.
Yeah.
It probably was,
Maybe.
but he was a nice guy, and just the fact that he took time to talk to me, how kind was that?
Yeah.
Just the right kind of person at the right place, and
That is true.
Right
Yeah.
time.
grateful for that.
Well, when I went to college, I wasn't, like, it was funny. First going to college, I never saw it as an option not to go. I don't know why. Like, my parents just talked about when you go to school, when you're in college. So I just assumed that was part of your educational journey. And now I see it as there's lots of other journeys you can do. There's so many other things. I just think bettering yourself and growing in whatever capacity you do and it can come in lots of different forms. But I ended up I was at Rick's College as well, and a lot of family members were teachers, and that kind of appealed to me, but I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I just want to date boys and flirt. And, like I wasn't there
You
for...
were so good at it.
Short ones.
Yeah, sure.
Short one.
I used to say school is 50% social, 50% educational. I don't think my
Maybe
parents,
60-40.
I don't think my parents liked hearing that. And anyway, but I did love the social aspect, but I thought, well, I'll take a pre-elementary education class. And so I did. And I remember a speaker coming, and I can't even remember what they were speaking, but it's one of those things you remember right where you were when you get a spiritual confirmation. And they were just talking, and I remember something about education and helping children and the influence you can have on children's lives for good. And I mean, that was one of those, I don't get a ton of strong spiritual, but that was,
moments.
yeah, you're hearing a lot of them today, but that was one of them that was like, yep, go into education. And so I did, I finished and I went into elementary education and I really loved it. I substituted for 2 years, and then I taught full-time 1 year at a charter school in Southeast Idaho when Travis was doing his first year of dental school in Pocatello. They had a program where you do your first year there and then go over to Creighton. So I taught at a brand new charter school there. In fact, it was brand new. And so it was a lot of work. The school was still getting their mission together, and in fact, the building wasn't even done when we started school. So we were in the back of a trucking company that one of the parents owned. We were in a warehouse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
2 classrooms of K through 6th grade all the way up. And over Thanksgiving break, I remember we moved into the school it was actually an old mall that they had renovated to look like a school. And anyway, it was just a really stressful, busy year, but I loved it. And I was really glad I went into education. But then I got pregnant with Mason that year and was pregnant the whole year actually. And then had him just after school finished. And then I stayed home with my kids after that. But I always loved that I had that educational background and I could still, teach my kids.
Brie,
Yeah.
but a lot of your church callings have been centered around things where
Completely.
that education that you've received has just made it easier and better.
Yes, I 100% agree. I spent a lot of time in the primary early on, a lot of time in young women's, some time in nursery, and then I got put in teaching seminary, early morning seminary for 5 years, and now we teach institute, the college age kids, and together. But man, those years of teaching seminary, it was grueling. It was every day. I was the only teacher, but I would never trade that for a million.
It was brutal
for anything,
but amazing.
Yes,
I agree. That's how I feel about my seminary.
Yeah, I think that time really, really blessed our family. It came in a time where we were going through some hard stuff, and man, it blessed our family like crazy. And I can't ever deny God's hand in blessing my life and my family's life for that service that I gave.
Yeah. That was a huge part of, I'd say the spirit in our home is the time and effort that Brie is dedicated to teaching the gospel.
When
and
you're
especially
teaching
during those
seminary
years.
by yourself every morning, you're in the scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
Like your nose is right there, and your mind and your thoughts. It's an opportunity to grow for sure.
Yeah.
I watched that happen with you, Brie.
Mm.
That was fun to be kind
Thank
of
you.
a little part of that.
Thank you.
So, as we're talking about a family, I don't want to overlook these amazing children. You have your Mason. Give us an update on Mason, Mallory, Marley, and Livy.
And Chloe's in the middle.
Chloe's in the middle.
Yeah, Chloe's in the middle.
Chloe, the beautiful progress Chloe.
Yeah,
I
that's
remember
her.
her well.
Life is just plugging along. Some days are better than others, but Mason's newly, we have one kid married now. Our oldest is married. He got married 6 months ago, and we really like his wife. She's been a great addition to our family, Jenna. And then Mallory got home from a mission in Las Vegas in February, and that was a really great experience for her. And that, I would say Mason and Mallory's missions both blessed our families a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was, in fact, it was kind of cool. They changed the mission where you could talk to your missionaries on the phone once a week, right before Mason went out.
So jealous. I had 4 kids out. Yeah, it was hard.
That's the most I think I've ever talked to Mason. It was on his mission, because I was we were the only ones he could call. So every Monday we got to have a pretty good conversation with him, and I actually really loved that. That was really special. And so Mallory's home from her mission in Vegas, and she is down at BYU, Idaho. And then Chloe just graduated from high school, and she wants to room. She's going to be down at BYU, Idaho, and her and Mallory are going to room together.
So cool.
Yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully that goes. They get along way better now than they did when they were younger. So yeah. And then
your girls roomed together, didn't they?
Had the time of their life.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And then we have a 14-year-old that she's going to be in 9th grade. She just got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So that's been,
that's life-changing.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it is. It's been life-changing for her. But I got to give her props. I think she's handled this
I think
really,
she's
really
so
well.
Amazing every time I see
She
her.
just seems to, she's not wallowing. She's just figuring it out and doing it. I mean, she has her bad moments where she's like, I'm so sick of having to think about everything I eat and what, she has to calculate how much insulin she gives herself every time she eats. And so, I mean, it's been life-changing, but she's handling it like a champ. And then our little Livy that's 12 and in Young Women's now. And
So cute.
yeah, anyway, life
We've
is
got
good.
a great family.
We
Thank
do.
you.
We had that
Thank
boy
you.
and 4 girls, and we always thought maybe there'd be a boy in there again, and Mason wanted a brother, and I remember when we said that Livy was going to be a girl, he fell face down on his bed.
Yeah, no!
It was just, no.
Another one.
Anyway, it was funny, but it's been nice watching our kids too as they grow older. Some of the conflict mellows out, and they become friends
It
and
just
love
gets
each
better
other.
and better. Pretty
Yeah.
soon they'll start bringing those grandbabies home, and I'm telling you, that's the celestial kingdom for me.
I believe you.
I do
believe
believe
love
you.
that part
Yeah.
of our life right now.
Miss cuddling our own babies, but
Yeah.
grandkids are going to be
Mhm.
amazing.
And then you can cuddle them and send them home.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yes.
can feed them sugar and send them home.
Sleep,
Boil them.
Yeah.
sleep through the night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bree's parents, that's what Bree's dad says when he stays with our kids. He's like, ice cream for breakfast.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
Grandma says yes. So looking back on your life and even currently, I know that there's been a lot of missionary experiences that you guys have had. Do you have experiences of where missionary work has played a role in your life that you'd like to share?
Going on a mission was huge for, I think, helping solidify a testimony. And that was a big part of of my spiritual journey was what you learned when you dedicate your life to Heavenly Father for those 2 years. And so that was part of it. By moving to Lewiston, we found ourselves in a different environment than maybe Idaho Falls was, as far as how big the church was or how well we're represented. But Brie has been a pretty natural missionary as far as sharing what she believes with people. It's kind of funny. We had a gal down the hall in our apartment when we moved here, and she had the discussions in our home. She didn't join the church. She was fighting, some alcoholism and things like that. But it was a pretty amazing experience to watch the Spirit touch her during those discussions. She would change while she was there, and you could just see the influence of the Spirit, or I guess the influence of the Spirit on someone's life and how much it can help them. And we just always hope that people can see that, recognize it, and feel it. But yeah, it's given us living here has given us a lot of opportunity to talk to people.
One of my favorite quotes, and I can't even know who to attribute this to, but it's like, live the gospel all your life, when necessary, use words.
That was a pope, I think.
I just read that in somewhere in some
maybe it was a
article I read.
pope. I can't. Yeah, but I love that quote.
And occasionally you might have to.
You might have to use words.
And I think that, especially living in a place that there's not a lot of LDS influence, I just think that's the best thing we could. That's where you start. That's why I used to tell my seminary students, know the gospel and then live it. That's the best thing you can do. Mm-hmm. And then be prepared to share your testimony, to answer questions. But I think if you know it and live it, those are the most important things that you have agency over, that you can control. And then people they'll be drawn to that and eventually ask questions, or even just watch. They might not always ask, but they're watching and
remembering.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how many people.
And it's kind of cool, that lady that he talked about, that he was referring to when we first lived in Lewiston before we had kids, and we lived actually in the Breyer building down on Main Street. And that woman that did have the discussion, she didn't join the church, but I do feel like we made a connection. And then since we moved back several years later, I run into her now and again around town, and we still have that connection. Like, we still really care and like each other. And it's, I don't know, I think it's just neat. I mean, the gospel's for everyone. They just maybe don't know it yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So our time is run out. I could do this with you guys.
This is easier than I thought.
Long time. Yeah. So I just have a couple of questions that I'd like for you to address. I think maybe if you could tell us what you love most about Lewiston's Second Ward in a nutshell. I know that's a big bite.
One of the things was, when we moved here from Iowa, we were in a branch, and it was so small.
I've lived in those before.
We came here, and I remember they were calling like counselors in the young women's, and counselors and teachers, and some of those callings that in that branch that we had, you might have had a young women's president, you might have had a young men's president, and maybe they had counselors. But I remember thinking, wow, they can fill all the callings in this ward.
Yeah.
That was one of the things. But we were just really warmly greeted and swept up into the ward. I love those who have been here a long time, who kind of are a foundation of it, and the new faces. When you have a family that moves to Lewiston, you kind of wonder what brings them here, right?
Exactly.
Lewiston's not a big destination for many people.
Right.
So when suddenly someone lands here, it's like, what is this? And sometimes they're just passing through, but for ones who stay, it's just like you want to grab them and hold on to them.
Yeah. You're not leaving.
Don't leave. That's right. We're here, so you're here. But that's been, I don't know, that has been it. It's just been a lovely ward, and we've had wonderful leaders. And part of it, too, is the hand that all these people have played in helping us raise our family. The people who have taught my kids the gospel in primary, or that have slept out in the cold with them in scouts. And I just can't thank that enough. And I think that's what endears you, is that.
I think of that as just being this beautiful tapestry where all these people have contributed to the lives of my children, and it just makes me love them more.
Love them more, exactly.
Yeah. And one thing I just love about Lewiston Second Ward, and I would say church in general, but our ward, because that's where I've been for so long, but I just look around sometimes on Sundays and I'm like, I'm so proud of everyone for being here.
Yes.
Like life is hard, and
It is
sometimes it's hard to get up on Sundays, and sometimes it's even harder to bring your kids when you can't find their shoes, or they're fighting, or someone's sick, or I mean there's just so many reasons not to come that I just am so impressed when I see people at church. I'm like, I'm so proud of you. We did
There's
this.
a lot
We're
of
here.
them
I
coming
know,
every
and
Sunday.
there's a lot. Like we're in this together, and
Oh, another
I love
great
that
thing
feeling.
is we always meet at 10 o'clock. Never changes.
that's
That
true.
is
Okay,
the
that's the best part. of
Might
this.
be the best part.
The best part.
We have our ward mostly to ourselves. There's some students in here sometime that I'm vaguely aware of.
Mostly it's our building, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So final thought, final question. If you could send one message 100 years into your future for your children and grandchildren and those coming behind you to hear, what would it be?
We talked about
Yeah,
this.
we
It's,
did talk.
it's stay in the boat.
Yeah.
Stay in the boat?
Mhm.
Yep.
Oh,
It's better in than it is
says it
out.
all, doesn't it?
It does.
Stay in the boat.
I know that people have different experiences that take them in or out of the church, and some people leave. And if you put a group of the people that I love in the church, and then I mean, it's just I want to be with them. I mean, that's they're the best people I know, and the fruits of the gospel are in their lives. And stay in the boat.
So your
stay
boat's not a two-man boat.
It's not a two-man boat.
It's a big Titanic.
Kind of a big one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you people are in it, and I love you for that. And stay in it.
I love that.
Stay
Stay
in
in the boat. That's good advice. Says it all. Well, Travis and Brie, I think we've delivered on you being two of the coolest people in Lewiston
Remember to tell our
Second Ward.
kids. Remember to tell our
Yeah,
kids.
no.
Thank you so much. It's
Thank
just been
you.
so great.
Thank you guys. It's a great day.
Yeah, it is.